episode 2, and we're going to do something really crafty. I'm going to show you how I made my Sailor Moon Deco Den case. I happen to be a huge Sailor Moon fan. I love Deco Den, I love glitter, I love pink, so I decided to put all that into a cell phone case. And with my phone being an older phone, it is an iPhone 5, it's harder to find cell phone cases in general and Deco Den cases. And I know some other phones out there are really hard to find Sailor Moon cases and Deco Den cases. So I'm going to show you how to make mine, and hopefully it'll inspire you to make yours. I hope you enjoy watching the video, and let's get started. Materials. You will need a cell phone case that fits your phone. Mine is pink with a matte finish. The star of my design, a Princess Serenity keychain that came out for the 20th anniversary. These are some really cute princess buttons I had picked up from Michael's. The Mod Podge frosting kit. This comes in different colors. I chose just the vanilla. Some really cute beads. These kind of remind me of the silver beryllium crystal. They have that iridescent finish. Some ribbon. Some rhinestones in different size, color, and variations. These are just ones I collected over time. Sculpey clay, some cutters, some gold paint, and a brush. The Sculpey clay down there is a white pearl. E6000 glue and Mod Podge. Mod Podge comes out in different types of finishes. This one is a matte finish. These are some glitter variations I have in the very refined, the medium, and chunky glitter. I thought this would be fun to add to my case design. So these are the materials I ended up using for the project. You will also need some tweezers, a butter knife, and some scissors. So now I'm just laying everything out on the table, figuring out design-wise how everything looks together, because I did have a theme, but once you see everything together, it does make a difference, you know, putting something in it or leaving something out. For example, I did leave the horse out, the dress out, and the shoe out at the end of the design, and the ribbon, because it just didn't work well together, and you know, design-wise, it does make a difference. So this Mod Podge Frosting Vanilla, I have never used it before, and I want to let you know I did have problems with it later, but I did fix it. So now I'm just taking the pin out of Serenity's head. It's not very cute for the design. I'm going to cover that hole up later. So once I saw everything together, one of my favorite things about the Princess Serenity dress is when she gets her angel wings. I think it looks so pretty. So I really wanted to make those angel wings. I did buy the Sculpey clay knowing that I was going to make something for my Mod Podge collage. And I was thinking maybe a moon or a rose, and nope, I want to do angel wings, and I don't want to make them too complicated because they are very feathered when they're on Serenity for the manga and the anime. So I'm going to make mine a little more simplistic. It's going to be inspired by the clamp wings that had a little swirl towards the base where the back connects to the wing, and then flick out, and then the different feathers underneath it. So to get started, I did roll it out very thin. I'm rolling it kind of like a little rounded snail, you know, kind of. And I flicked it out, and now I'm just cutting it and trimming it. And then I don't like it so unfinished, so I'm going to round it out a little bit so it goes thick to thin. And now I'm just adding the other feathers, and I flatten that one side so it can fit under the little rolled top part of the feather, so it's not too bulgy and everything is flat against each other, so it's believable. And now I'm just forming them so they make kind of like that rounded shape out like that. So I'm getting the other side, and they need to match, but not like perfectly matched. It's, you know, it's a project. It's whatever makes you happy. If you want one bigger one than the other, that's okay too. But I'm doing 3 separate pieces here, and just gently making them work together. Clay gets, the Sculpey clay in particular, gets really soft if you handle it for so long, so just be really patient. Yeah, so this is in comparison to each other. I really like how big the wings are in comparison to my Serenity, so I'm okay with this design. You know, it's okay if you made these and go, oh, they're too big, oh, they're too small. Then fix them. So the Sculpey clay instruction says 245, I believe, for 15 minutes. So I just used some foil to put in the bottom of one of my baking cake pans and place the wings down. And since they are sticky, I thought this would be a good opportunity to double up on the project and put the iridescent white glitter on top of it while it's baking. So while that's baking, let's get started on the frosting. Like I said before, I did have problems with this product. So the product comes with 3 different types of nozzles that go on the top, and I chose the star looking one. I think they call it a star, but it looks like a sun to me. And when I started using this product, I'm so sorry, I noticed that it has a big air bubble in the middle of it and it wasn't coming out, and I thought maybe underneath the nozzle it wasn't like open yet, but no, it was open. And when I've used other frosting in the past for Deco Den, even when you're doing cake decorating, you can't have that big air bubble in it. It creates problems. So, or burst bag, which ended up happening. So I tried to give this thing a benefit of the doubt. Oh, there it goes. Yep, broke. And I was like, no, but luckily, like I said before, this is not my first rodeo when it comes to the frosting. So I did try to tie it off. That also did not work. So I used my product from my other stuff. It's an actual cake frosting top with the connector stopper on the other side. And I got one of my bags out and fed the Mod Podge product back into the new cake bag. And it ended up working, and I'm really happy because of that, but I feel bad for anyone else who wants to try this product. I don't know if I technically did it wrong, but or I got one that just was not very nice, but I made it work. The product in itself, the consistency of the frosting is nice. It's not a bad product, but for whatever reason this bag was being evil, so I did, like I said, reuse an actual cake frosting bag with actual cake frosting nibs for the top. These I don't eat out of, I promise. These are literally set aside for Deco Den stuff, and I've done this in the past. So how this works is after you feed the frosting in the bag, you're going to use the stopper bottom, I don't know the technical word for this, and feed it through and cut off the nib and roll the top of the cake bag backwards onto the stopper, and then take the star nib with the little plastic connector down there and screw it onto the base, like so. So the reason why this works better than the other ones, there's no air bubbles, and you twist the back of the bag. You'll see me do that a few times. There we go. To make sure all the frosting is fed to the front. I did wipe it off the cell phone case, as you can see, as I was so angry how ugly that looked. So I try this again. This is again a star, I call it a moon, or I mean a sun nib on the front, because it makes that really pretty almost like frilly design when you place it down on a cake piece or, you know, Deco Den piece. It looks very pretty. So I'm just taking my time making rows. If there is air bubbles, just go back and add more frosting. Take your time with this. This is sped up a little bit in certain parts because it's kind of boring watching me do this over and over again. But just take your time. And it looks very pretty once it's together, and I'm really happy I chose a kind of a dusty rose baby pink for the base of my phone, because it looks really cute against the brilliant white frosting. So now I'm just using chunky glitter. This one actually looks like sprinkles, that kind of rectangle shape. They're white iridescents, kind of hard to see far away. I sprinkled those on with my really refined white iridescent glitter that I used on the wings before. This just brings out all the little grooves and details that the frosting makes while you're frosting your case or whatever you'd be deco-denning, so it looks really nice once it's all together. One thing that's very nice when you do a practice run of how you want your design to look is you will know how to layer the pieces that you use. So after I had designed it, I decided that I had these really cool moon-shaped rhinestones, and I totally forgot that I had them. And I thought it'd be really pretty above the castle to kind of create this moonlight scene behind it. So I decided to use a crescent moon rhinestone that's white with a white star rhinestones around it. So as you're doing this piece, I'm using the frosting to kind of create this 3D look, because the frosting is dry right now. It's still, wet, but it's still drying at the same time. You want to make sure your pieces have something to stick to kind of stack up against each other, kind of like dominoes, for lack of a better word. But yeah, so I'm using the frosting to help place pieces down. The smaller pieces don't really matter as much, as they don't really need a lot to hold on to. So even if the base frosting is still kind of drying, it's going to be okay. And it's still fresh because I literally just put it down. But this is slightly a time lapse, so some time had crossed, so some parts I wasn't so sure of, I did add more frosting or use E6000 glue to reinforce it while I was going along. I really like these crescent moon rhinestones. I can't remember where I purchased them, but they look really nice in my design. I have this pink one too I thought would look really good in balance with my little carriage button that I picked up for the princess button set. Also, so I'm using this E6000 glue. I love this glue. So you can use it on anything. I have these really small white rhinestones. I use these for a lot of different types of projects, and I'm using the tweezers with them because this is such a small product. I want to make sure it sticks. So I'm using the E6000 glue to embellish the other pieces I already put down, like the carriage and the castle. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the really big rhinestone piece in the middle, it reminds me of the silver beryllium crystal too. I actually used this rhinestone. It came in a set for my actual Sailor Moon cosplay when I made my choker and accessories for my cosplay in the past, and it really does look like this silver beryllium crystal. So it's really pretty as like kind of this orb thing that my Serenity is going to sit on later when I attach her to it too. So yeah, so just take your time designing the placement and the look that you want. I really wanted mine to have a lot of color balance and kind of created a scene and yet be really overly cute. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. And you'll notice as I'm going through and designing and putting things here and there, I did leave things out like the ribbon and the gold paint. I didn't need to embellish with the paint. I thought maybe I would because of the moon scepter. I wanted to maybe complement that, but I actually wanted it to be, again, the star, so I didn't want anything to compete with it, so I ended up not using it. And a few other items I had mentioned in the beginning of the video. So as you can tell in this part of the video, I am definitely going back to E6000 glue over and over again. And I know at this point when I was feeling the Mod Podge frosting that it was drying pretty quick at this point, so I really want everything to stay. So I'm going back to the E6000 glue back and forth, making sure everything is sticking. For Princess Serenity, because now I have gotten down my wings, which are now glued down too. They look really nice on top of the castle. The only thing I regret about this design is there was a little heart opening in the castle door, and I could not figure out a placement that I liked for both the Dora show and Princess Serenity to be on it. So sorry, little heart door, you didn't make it, but oh well. So that hole that I was talking about for Princess Serenity, I just took those tiny rhinestones and kind of made a crown design on the top of the actual figure. So it looks like it was meant to be there almost. Yeah, so that way the hole is not ugly anymore. Now I'm using a really hefty amount of E6000 glue in the back of Princess Serenity because she is a keychain piece. These tend to break over time, and I really want it to stay all together, so I'm using the glue to go into the grooves where everything's connected to make sure she's going to stay on there. In the other attachments for the E6000 glue, for the other pieces, a little glue goes a long way for E6000 glue, but again, I use a lot, particularly for Princess Serenity, because she's a figure piece and I don't want her head to come off or her dress to fall off or the really pretty moon scepter to fall off, so I made sure that stayed. And I did babysit Princess Serenity sitting on top of the castle and the silver beryllium crystal piece underneath her because I really wanted her to not slip off, and E6000 glue is a little tacky, so if you don't babysit it for a couple minutes it will shift and move, especially for something so big, and she is kind of doing a balancing act on top of there, so want to make sure she stays. So now I'm just taking little tiny beads that I have, looks clear beads, and kind of putting it in between the glue and where she's sitting on top of the castle and the crystal, so You won't see possibly any ugly glue underneath there. It will look like she's kind of just rising up out of the frosting foam, if that makes any sense. So yeah, after I have attached Princess Serenity, I'm adding any other details that I think might look really good with this piece. So while scavenging through my rhinestone kit over there with my collection, I discovered I had these half-dome pearl beads, and I totally forgot I had them. So I used them for previous projects in the past, and I kind of use them to embellish a few other things on the piece. Yeah, I really like that. And now I'm using this really cute kind of pink silvery, really fine glitter to get in the grooves behind Princess Serenity to kind of create this shadow effect. I really like this glitter. I'm really happy I decided to go with. So as a final thing for my Deco case, I am using my matte finish Mod Podge to go over the glitter wings and Princess Serenity, so they're both sealed in there. And because the wings go off the case, the clay might be weak in some spots, so I want to reinforce it back to the foam. So I'm doing a very fine coat on top of the glitter and Princess Serenity and slightly behind them, so they're kind of sealed in. And I know that it's glittered right here, and like people might be scared of like, oh Larissa, you're gonna take the beautiful shine away from the wings. Luckily this matte Mod Podge didn't. I was scared, I know. But I did put it over Princess Serenity's face and her dress. I did not do the scepter because I didn't want to take away the finish of that. That seemed like that would be too much. But I definitely did her face because I didn't want the paint to come off, so I printed this matte finish after the 5-day mark as instructed on the back of the Mod Podge frosting kit. And this is it done after all those drying times, and I'm so happy with the way it turned out. It looks so good. Oh, it's so cute.
I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I really enjoyed making these Sailor Moon inspired videos with you. I hope you really liked making your own Deco Sailor Moon case. Thank you for watching and have a magical day. I'll see you in a new video. Bye!